me tell you about a friend. It's Craig LeBlanc where the good times never end. Talking Parks and Rec, it's a show you gotta know. Welcome one and all to the Daily Parks and Rec Show. It's the Daily Parks and Rec Show.
I was always told that career path is a ladder, is a road, whatever you want to call it, is that linear. Coming up, it was really one of those that I kind of had the analogy with the young youth employee, the high school kids, that it's really like a rock climbing wall now. Sometimes you gotta go lateral to find the right route up. Sometimes you gotta go down a little bit to reposition yourself. That kind of analogy of like, you have this whole wall of holds and routes and different things, and what may have made sense theoretically in college, in the real world may not make sense.
Welcome back to the Daily Parks and Rec Show Leadership Series. Today we're joined by Stephen DeFalco, Director of Recreation and Parks for the Village of Palos Park. From his early days as a Parks and Rec kid and Eagle Scout to finding his calling in community leadership, Stephen's journey is a masterclass in perseverance, mentorship, and service. In this episode, Stephen shares how he turned a love for sports and the outdoors into a career that builds connection, belonging, and joy. Plus, how he's redefining special events, youth athletics, and community engagement in a small but mighty village outside Chicago. Whether you're a park director, a rec coordinator, or a future leader in the field, this conversation will remind you why Parks and Rec isn't extra, it's essential. Let's dive in.
All right, this is Craig LeBlanc with the Daily Parks and Rec Show Leadership Series. Hope everyone had a great weekend. And I have a special guest with me, Stephen DeFalco from the great state of Illinois. Is it Palos Park? Palos Park. And he's just getting off of a super busy summer, and with a little bit of lull, I think, before the hard winter comes in. The winter is coming over there in in Illinois.
Yeah. The calm before the storm.
That's it. But before we get started, we're going to play a couple promos for our sponsors. Today's sponsor is Palco Supply. They sell LED lights for baseball fields. If you have electricians and staff that just need light fixtures that are built for municipal use to last 100,000 hours, pretty much a lifetime warranty on these things, give Palco Supply a shot. We'll play a little commercial for that. And then we're also going to play a promo for our many vendors that are coming up, sponsoring and underwriting the Daily Parks and Rec Show and all the efforts we're doing to create a media company for the industry of Parks and Rec. And so we're going to play a little promo right after the Palco promo. If you'd like to get involved, hit me up on LinkedIn and let's get the conversation going. And then we'll come right back and start our conversation with Stephen.
When you invest in our high-performance LED sports arena lights, you're not just upgrading your facilities, you're helping us illuminate the untold stories of parks and recreation communities. Every purchase directly supports the Daily Parks and Rec Show, a media platform on a mission to celebrate the heart and soul of our local parks and programs. From after-school activities to summer leagues, these spaces shape lives, and their stories deserve to be told. Why your support matters. Capturing community impact. Your contribution helps us assemble a talented team of digital artists, storytellers, and filmmakers to create compelling videos, articles, and short films that spotlight how Parks and Rec programs change lives. Sharing untold stories. From a child's first home run to lifelong friendships forged on the court, we'll document these priceless moments and share them with the world. Inspiring the next generation. By highlighting the joy, inclusivity, and opportunities found in our parks, we foster a deeper appreciation for these vital community spaces. Light up arenas, brighten futures. Your choice to install LED sports arena lights isn't just a smart investment in energy efficiency and performance, it's an investment in stories that deserve to be told. Be part of the story. Take action today. Purchase LED Sports Arena lights and help us shine a spotlight on the heartwarming stories that define our parks and communities. Contact us now to learn more about our products and how your support fuels the Daily Parks and Rec show. Together, we'll shine a light on the moments that matter most.
Are you a vendor, brand, or service provider ready to connect with the heartbeat of local communities? At DPRS Media Co., we tell the stories shaping parks and recreation across America. Through podcasts, live streams, videos, and newsletters, we reach frontline leaders, city directors, and decision makers every single week. From youth sports and facilities to programming and policy, our audience is your audience. Sponsoring or partnering with DPRS Media Co. puts your brand in front of the professionals who build, budget, and buy for their communities. Launching a new product, growing your presence in public spaces, targeting cities, counties, or departments, DPRS is your trusted media partner. Whether you're in software, turf, aquatics, robotics, smart cities, or special events, partnering with DPRS puts your brand in the story. With commercials, interviews, social campaigns, newsletters, and live shows, we're your media team. Partner with us and grow your impact in the $200 billion parks and rec industry. DPRS Media Co. Stories that move parks and rec forward. Your audience is here. Let's meet them.
All right. So while I was thinking about it, we are attending quite a few Parks and Rec annual events, the state events, and I'm actually in conversation to also attend the one in Illinois.
Nice. Coming January 2026. Yeah.
Yeah. You going?
Oh yeah, we love going. It's just a great way to connect with everyone, and especially, I'm sure we'll talk about it, being a smaller village in the Chicago metro area. We almost have more in common with some of our rural counterparts in central and southern Illinois than we do our neighbors in the Chicagoland area. So it's great to find all those different resources locally and, legislatively to know what's going on the state level.
Yeah. Well, why don't you tell everybody that has not attended your state conference? It's almost it's almost the size of a national conference, or maybe half the size of one. It's quite different than a lot of the other ones that might have 500 or 600 people. I mean, y'all have quite a show there. How many years have you attended?
So I've attended the past 2 years now. So this coming 2026 will be my third year attending. And yeah, it is something where you feel like you're at a rock concert, where it's like, okay, totally different buildings of the hotel have different things going on. The vendor expo that's going on all weekend is huge, and you get a lot of great resources that way too. For us operating on an May 1st to April 30th fiscal year, it's in that sweet spot of getting those vendors right before we put things out to bid for the next fiscal year. So it really offers everything, and it's a great opportunity to meet with, entry level interns, the whole gamut of people in the Parks and Rec field in your state.
Yeah. Yeah. I've heard nothing but good things about it. And long ago, I did a poll of which state event we should attend, and they got by far the most votes.
Oh yeah. I mean, you want to talk about cold, Craig? It's gonna really put your two to the test. Chicago in January will definitely be that. Pick up a jacket just for that one.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, y'all get some chilly weather up there.
Yeah.
All right, so let's tell a little bit about yourself. How did you get into Parks and Rec? Maybe even go back into who you were, like as a high schooler, college kid, kind of what your mind, where was your mind back then as far as Parks and Rec? Did you know anything about it?
Yeah, so I was very fortunate that I grew up as a Parks and Rec kid. In the fall it would be soccer, in the winter it'd be basketball, in the spring it'd be baseball. I concentrated eventually on soccer and did that year round with local club teams in the western suburbs of Chicago. And for me, it was always just like, it was part of my life. It was something I always did. My dad for a while was on where I'm from in Lombard in the western suburbs. He was on the rec board. So kind of having that aspect of it growing up too, you kind of got to see the kind of Oz tinkering behind the curtain of what went into all of this when he's, talking at the dinner table about stuff that's going on. But it was really eye-opening. But for me, it was always just, I was an Eagle Scout. I did outdoor stuff all the time. I was definitely an outside kid. And it was always, a hobby, an interest, something to do. But I never even put two and two together, connecting it to a actual career. When I was in college, I played at College of DuPage in the western suburbs, soccer throughout there. Had a little bit, one too many bumps to the head, and couldn't play when I transferred to Northern Illinois University. But I think it was that when I was finding jobs, I was just like, well, I know this space and I've lived it and I know it. I'm comfortable with it. So it was always a job, but it was never really like, this is what I'm going to do with the rest of my life. I originally wanted to go into veterinary medicine, and being in Illinois, spending a lot of time in the state parks in Central Illinois, I was, Mr. Fox. I was going to be Doc Holliday. I was going to be that large animal vet going from farm to farm, and I got to calculus, and the first exam I got a 26% on. And my calculus teacher pulls me aside and he says, Stephen, maybe this isn't really for you. You may think you may have the passion, but the grades aren't really matching up. So you do tours of campus and you're on the speech and debate team. Like, you seem to talk a lot and you're good with that. So maybe you should think about something like that. And I was like, all right, play to your strengths. So I majored in communications. I figured it was the liberal arts version of a business degree that you could do everything and nothing with. And got a job with the DuPage County Forest Preserves, operating boat rental facilities and campgrounds. So again, with that scouting background, it was something I was very familiar with. Leading a small team, kind of knew all of that as well. And from working there, in juxtaposition, kind of going for more of a career thing, I was interning with DeKalb County, their American Red Cross, doing fundraising and special events for them. And I loved this idea of bringing community together for a worthwhile cause. So whether it was a blood drive, whether it was, like a bingo or a raffle or something that the community enjoyed, that was, all the good feels. The community felt good. We were raising money for a good cause. And then when I graduated college and I was done with DuPage County Forest Preserves, I said, all right, well, this was the fun job. Like, I can't really make any money out of this. I think this was early 2000s. Entry-level ranger position was $28,000, which in Chicago metro area doesn't really get you much.
Right.
Small roof over your head, maybe. You're still living with your parents. But I went into public relations. It was something that I was sold, that PR was telling the story of all the good things these companies are doing. A week after I graduated, I started at Edelman Public Relations, which is a large international PR firm. So Craig, I was the Don Draper. I was 21, Don Draper. I was like, this is going to be great. I'm on the 70th floor of the Aon Center. Millennium Park was my view from my window. I had made it. I did as an elder millennial, I was, sold this bill of goods that if you did your major, you did your college, you did all this, you got the job. It was smooth sailing. And a year and a half into that, I just was so unhappy and left. And then I was unemployed at 22, scratching my head. Like, I played the game. Like, I did everything everyone wanted me to do. And I was like, well, I guess I'll go back to the default, what I know. And at the time I was living on the west side of Chicago. I got a job with YMCA of Metro Chicago, just teaching youth athletics and doing that part-time. When my car would break down, I'd have all my soccer balls going to the school, do an after-school program on the CTA bus, with all my equipment taking up 3 seats on the bus. And it was this aha moment when I really found great mentorship at the Y, where they're like, you're really good at this. Like, this can be your career. Like, this can be more than just like, oh, this is the default because I know it. Like, you know it because you're good at it, And if you're good at it, you should continue to do it. So I doubled down. I ended up running the sports department there and jumped around to a few different agencies from kind of that forest preserve world to the traditional parks and rec world. And now I've been with the Village of Palos Park for the past 3 years, and love the serendipitous journey I've been on with finding out that what you love doing can be that career.
Mm, fantastic. Is there anything you think you would have, knowing what you know now and the position that you're in, do you think there's anything you would have done a little different as far as your major, or you just kind of appreciate the journey you were on to maybe get you where you are?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely appreciate the journey because I think I was much more open to a much more diverse offerings in that like recreation space and those unconventional avenues of recreation, like with the forest preserves. Maybe if I had majored in Parks and Rec, I would have just gone right into a traditional Parks and Rec agency and maybe not had those experiences. So I think when I was mentoring youth employment, we had a program with the forest preserves of Cook County where I was before the Village of Palos Park. And with those youth employees nowadays, I was always told that career path is a ladder, is a road, whatever you want to call it, is that linear. And I think coming up, it was really one of those that I kind of had the analogy with the young youth employee, the high school kids, that it's really like a rock climbing wall now. Sometimes you got to go lateral to find the right route up. Sometimes you got to go down a little bit to reposition yourself. That kind of analogy of like you have this whole wall of holds and routes and different things, and what may have made sense theoretically in college in the real world may not make sense.
Mm,
So I love the trajectory I had, and I think the only thing I would have changed is uh, you know some self talk of like this is a career. This is something that if I would have maybe in DuPage County in college been like, oh, this is what I want to do the rest of my life, I maybe would have been a little bit more ahead than where I am now. Kind of going back and forth from full time to part time, juggling that stuff in the early 20s. But that's what your 20s are for.
that's it. That's time to figure things out. I think it's okay for to be somewhat lost in your 20s. I haven't met many 20-year-olds that know exactly what they want to do and stuck with it the whole time without some type of career path.
Yeah, I think the failure is a very important part of the 20s. Like knowing life is not gonna just hand you everything you need, and to be able to adapt and pivot is so important.
Mm. And so, what was your journey like between when you went full time in the Parks and Rec to the director position? What was the between those two periods?
Yeah, so like I was saying with the Y, I got to part time to full time with that position. Uh, After a couple years, there was kind of like an ethos push pull. Both my parents are teachers. My mom did special ed. My dad did ESL. One of my first jobs in high school was actually helping my dad with his elementary school's summer school program. And for my whole life, that idea of service has always been something that's kind of what the PR was like, service, you're sharing all this good news. And when I got to the Y, there was some disagreements on, like what is the mission of why we're here? Like, in my opinion, we weren't here to compete with the export fitnesses. We offered a much bigger, broader sense of community and recreation and kind of just being that staple for the community. When I left, I found a job with Cook County Forest Preserves. And at the time, there were specialties, and you worked all throughout the county. So Forest Preserves of Cook County is over 70,000 acres. So 10% of the county is forest preserve land. It's actually the oldest and largest forest preserve district in the nation.
Hmm.
And I was driving all over the place doing special events. So forest jams, movies in the park, orienteering, paddling. We worked with the American Indian Center doing powwows, fishing derbies, all that stuff. And I'd be based kind of centrally and with a satellite mobile team be moving around the county, a couple years in, they decided we want to double down on community engagement, and having all of you specialized countywide is not allowing you that opportunity. I'd be in northwest suburbs of Chicago and say, all right, I'll see you in 6 months when I have the next event. And I really couldn't develop a great cohesion with the partners that way. So we were regionalized. So then I was doing everything, special events, kayak, paddling, archery, environmental ed, outdoor rec type stuff. And I was doing it specifically for the south side of Chicago, and the south suburbs was my region. Since I had my past experience on the west side of Chicago, a very similar demographic. And I loved it. After a few years of that, the nature center in that region, Sandridge Nature Center in Calumet City, right by the Indiana border, that director retired, and I knew the area, I knew the space. There was an exciting opportunity where the nature center had a campground next to it and an aquatic center, and they were trying to, from a branding standpoint, package these three amenities into this Sandridge campus model. And that was really exciting to me to be able to spearhead and kind of be a founder of that idea in the community. So I got hired on as director of the nature center, and I live in the southwest suburbs. It was a long drive back and forth to the nature center, and being the director, as you know, this is the leadership series. Any leader will tell you when it comes to any type of recreation, traditional, non-traditional, experiential learning, it is a 24/7 job. I would get calls Sunday at 5 o'clock at the dinner table and have to drive 40 minutes out to the nature center because something happened with one of my staff or the building itself. So it was a lot of back and forth, and I found this opportunity in Palos Park right in my backyard, 15 minutes from my house, and couldn't beat it. Especially from, you know, a higher level, more family planning aspect. In Illinois, we are on a state pension system, and my years of service with a reciprocal pension system. Again, the logistics that the younger me didn't realize, you know, Illinois, our pension got split into a tier 1 and tier 2 system. So for example, that DuPage County example back in college, if I had worked full time, I would have been tier 1, would have been able to retire like 5 years earlier. But you know, hindsight's 2020. So I really try my employees when they come on, I'm like, these benefits in your 20s, you're not even thinking about your 60s, but this is going to set you up for success. So saw that opportunity, an exciting opportunity to get back into the traditional parks and rec space, and took it. So it's been that like kind of leapfrogging from forest preserve districts to traditional parks and rec has been a lot of fun.
Yeah. I'd like you to say a little bit more about special events in Parks and Rec. We really haven't done many shows with a deep dive into that, but because you seem to have had a lot of experience in it, maybe you can just kind of give a 101 class on how to prepare yourself or even run special events for Parks and Rec.
Yeah, I'd love to. So I could use the example of with Palos Park, I'm a big runner. I do some ultra marathons and little races all over the place. I used to run with CARA, the Chicago Area Runners Association. We had a Road Scholars program where we trained high school kids to do the Chicago Half Marathon. Awesome experience. So when I came to Palos Park, the one thing was I want to bring racing back to the village. They used to do a color run that kind of didn't end up happening anymore with some leadership changing in the department. So the first thing with special events is seeing what the community and the area is already doing, right? So in the example of me trying to do a race, I'm looking at surrounding communities. What are other communities doing? Is the market already super saturated with 5K runs? You know, if there's 80 5K runs throughout the year, mine's not really going to make an impact. So I think is your special event fulfilling a need that the community wants? So for us, having that history of the 5K and people wanting to bring back that type of race, some of the local villages do have races, but it's spread out enough that we can kind of fit in. And I was thinking, how can we make our 5K different than some of the other ones? There's like a hot chocolate and maybe like an Easter one. And as a dog owner, there's so many times I'm out with my dog and maybe the event doesn't allow dogs, or maybe it's not dog friendly, or you just feel so bad because they're part of the family and you want the whole family to go to the event. So we ended up doing, now it's the Saturday before Memorial Day weekend, and it's our Doggie Dash. And it's a 5K 1 mile fun run walk that you can do with or without your four-legged friend. And afterwards, we do like a little vendor area. We do a pup parade where there's costumes. And, I think that with special events too is like if there's other events like this, like if you're doing a block party is kind of like a generic thing. What is going to make your block party, your race, your movie in the park? What's going to make it unique and stand out so it's not just white noise with all the other ones? This time of year, we look at Fall Fest, September Fest, October Fest. A lot of villages have those type of events. What is going to, with your committee, again, committee, team effort, it's not, if you try and do it by yourself, you're going to burn out and not have a good time. So really leaning on that steering committee or team of employees, maybe some community members, and seeing, how can we set this apart from the rest? So finding that niche, the desire, how you set it apart, the date is really important too. If you're trying to compete, if my race is the same weekend as the race of the village next door, and we're splitting the community in half, making them choose which one, it's not going to be great. Also, looking at other events, we're a couple weeks away from Chicago Marathon. It's actually this Sunday, looking at like mid-October. So for us, maybe scheduling a race the same weekend as the Chicago Marathon, this like
Yeah.
global event, for that specific type of event may not be a great call. So that's where we're kind of looking at dates of what else is going on in the racing space to make sure that ours isn't really conflicting or competing with something else. Nowadays, I think too, another big aspect is partnerships. Uh, Special events for me is highlighting the community. How can we get community vendors, community involvement into this? When I was at the nature center, we, it's that push pull of I'm really into running and hiking. So I, as the instructor or the event proprietor, I'm going to do this because this is what I'm passionate about. And then you got to take a step back and ask yourself, well, just because the staff like it, the staff doesn't live all the time in the community. The community may not like what you like. I was in a punk rock band as a kid. I'm pretty sure the rest of the community I serve would not like the same music I like.
Yeah.
So it's kind of looking at that lens of just because we're on board with it internally, we got to sell this to the community and make sure it's really what the community wants. And once you get some of those, we call them kind of like these like gatekeepers to the community, that if you get that block party, that block club president or that HOA person, or that unofficial mayor, some of these towns have like, oh, so and so is the unofficial mayor. We get all our information from them. We don't even get it from the village. They tell us what's going on. If you get that buy-in from those community leaders and get them a seat at the table, it's going to be way more successful. From a marketing standpoint, all the Parks and Rec people probably know it is word of mouth is your bread and butter. And if you have local advocates on your side, promoting this, being like, hey, this is actually something we helped plan. It's something we want to do. It's a community event instead of a parks event that the community is invited to. Those are some of the main pillars of really how to make something successful on a large scale.
Any secret sauce around getting third-party vendors to participate, or what's your outreach look like?
Yeah, so I think really for us, it's the type of event. So like for the Doggie Dash, we're looking at food vendors that may be able to do something specific for dog families, like a bakery. Hey, maybe you don't do this normally, but maybe we can do like an exclusive dog baked item that you can sell at this. And it's a win-win for some of these businesses, and especially new businesses, is they're getting their face out there. Again, that grassroots marketing is the tried and true method. If you are face to face with someone and they see your logo and they see you out there supporting local events and being part of the community, like, those businesses know that's going to come back to them tenfold. So we've done that before where, there was a food truck that did waffles, and we had them do like a special flour mix that was dog friendly, and they did like dog waffles, and they kind of made them in like a paw print, and it went nuts. And now they have that base of whenever they do another street fair or something like that. So for us, that's the buy-in for businesses, at least like on the food side. We get a lot of interest with real estate agents, with banks, with, people that do business in the community. Hey, you live here. Maybe you have a friend that wants to move into town. And when they're saying, hey, I'm interested in moving in, you're like, I was at that race and there was these real estate agents there that were like giving out some cool stuff. And, it beats the, I'm going to Google and see all the bot reviews, or you don't know who's who. And, that word of mouth is great. So we've had it where we've had vendors giving out just swag and just being present. We've had food vendors to kind of, again, how do we separate our event from others? Maybe it's offering food. Maybe it's offering some adult beverages. So having like a local pizza place or one of those food vendors that has a liquor license work with, every county, every state is different on preparing food on site. And that's a whole other podcast episode I'm sure you can have on the logistics of food safety during special events. Cook County, for example, we can prepare on grass. So if we need to do an event where food vendors are cooking on site, we need to buy special flooring for them to be able to prepare food on. So that's just one example of some of the back end logistics. And there's some not luxury items to think about, bathrooms. People have to go to the bathroom. You got to fill those Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Maybe you find the porta potty company that wants to sponsor and kick some money in because they do business elsewhere. So I think there's a lot of with those businesses. It's really framing it on how can my event be profitable and advantageous to you to be a part of beyond the event. What's the lasting legacy of the interactions and the conversations you're going to have at this event, and how is that going to roll over to your day-to-day business after the event?
That's some great stuff. And then, okay, so I want to take a quick break to play a commercial that we made for the Parks and Rec industry. So this is something we made as a gift to the entire nation of Parks and Rec, so that if you are trying to defend those much needed dollars, because unfortunately at some point, especially in 2020, we were categorized as an industry as non-essential. So we created a video for y'all to use, maybe to help reframe that conversation. And then after that, I'm going to promote our eSports Mastery show, and then we'll come back and finish up a conversation with Stephen.
When we talk about essential services, what comes to mind? Police, firefighters, healthcare. But there's another essential service, often overlooked, yet always present: parks and recreation. Parks and Rec is health. It's the walking trail that lowers blood pressure, the recreation center where seniors fight isolation, the swim lessons that prevent tragedy before it happens. This isn't a luxury, it's a lifeline. Parks and Rec is safety. A playground instead of a street corner, a basketball court instead of trouble, a summer camp where every child belongs. It's not just about activity, it's about protection, prevention, and possibility. Parks and Rec is community, the festival that brings neighbors together, the cultural event that teaches respect and diversity, the open space where a city breathes. It builds bridges where division once stood. It gives people a reason to gather, to connect, to care. And Parks and Rec is economics. It strengthens property values. It drives tourism through events and trails. It saves on healthcare costs. Every dollar invested multiplies, feeding back into schools, into safety, into growth. Essential service is not just about survival, it's about thriving. And Parks and Recreation is where thriving begins. In wellness, in equity, in culture, and in joy. Parks and Rec isn't extra, it's essential. For our health, for our safety, for our communities, for our future. A message from the Parks and Recreation community.
At DPRS Media Co., we don't just create content, we elevate community through storytelling. Now, we're proud to introduce the newest addition to the family. Welcome to Youth Sports Mastery, the podcast where champions are shaped, not just on the field, but in life. Hosted by National Academy of Athletics founder Aaron Locks. Youth Sports Mastery dives deep into how youth sports can empower kids, strengthen communities, and build leaders. From coaching culture to recreation strategy, and from player development to parent impact, every episode brings game-ready insight from the people making it happen. Youth Sports Mastery goes live every Thursday at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Only on the Daily Parks and Rec Show, sponsored by National Academy of Athletics. And powered by DPRS Media Co. This is where purpose meets play.
All right, so that last promo is for anybody interested in youth sports. My co-host Aaron Locks runs that, and he has had 40 years in youth sports. And I'm sure Stephen knows a ton about youth sports. Tell us. And now you said you played soccer in college?
Yeah, so I played soccer, Division I for NJCAA, so the junior college. So I joke around. My brother played tennis D3 for NCAA, and I'm like, well, I'm still a Division I athlete. And he's like, but it's junior college. I was like, you can't take that D1 title away from me. But I think, Craig, both those ads really ring true. During COVID, I took a certificate program in creative placemaking from a planning standpoint. And that first one, we talk about third place all the time. Your first place is your home. Your second place is your work. That third place is that community building. And we definitely saw it during the pandemic and beyond that, Parks and Rec and the outdoor spaces are that third place for a lot of people, which is really cool. And with the athletics, something we're really running into is I heard it at IPRA, Illinois Parks and Rec Conference last year from a presenter. And it has been my light bulb mantra moment for people when I'm selling Parks and Rec. We are the only form of retail municipal government. You can't choose where you get your water from. You can't choose where your emergency services come from. You can't pick and choose zoning and building codes, but you can choose where you recreate and you can choose where you do your athletics. And in a day and age where for-profit companies and clubs are, really saturating the market, Parks and Rec agencies, especially in the Chicago metro area, we're really feeling that, bumping against, these club teams, the AYSOs and AAU basketball and travel baseball and travel everything, this travel culture that we've developed. So it's really been an interesting conversation with some of my colleagues that I'm interested to see how those youth athletic podcast episodes develop in that topic around, how do you stay relevant in this? Because like I said, Palos Park, we're a small town, we're surrounded by heavy hitter municipalities, and a Palos Park resident, just because you're in district, it's not a school, you can go anywhere you want. So I'm sure that's definitely something that's going to be talked about is retaining some of those local kids for that local rec league.
Yeah. And one thing we try to focus on the eSports Mastery Show is at the community level, there's so many kids that are never going to be, elite athletes, that maybe are just not that athletic. They're going to be engineers. They're going to be doctors. They're just going to be teachers. They'll probably never even play high school or college sports. But how important it is to teach those lessons in athletics. Maybe you can speak about the lessons you learned as
Yeah.
an athlete from your coaches, even if it wasn't something that you were going to play professional sports with.
Yeah. And I think too, it's one of those that I stopped playing baseball for the reason of I had to have been maybe sixth grade, and my coach is like, when you are playing college ball, like this is not gonna fly by. And I'm like looking at my friends, I'm like, I'm just ready to like have some pizza. Like I'm a sixth
Right.
grade, I'm not thinking about college ball. So I think it's that and I have a niece right now, and she does soccer sunrise to sunset 7 days a week in like third, like fourth, fifth grade. And the data and the studies are out there that even NFL players, I don't have the stats on me right now, but the amount of like D1 athletes and professional athletes that started in a multi-sport realm, we have this weird notion that you have to lock in on one sport so early. And
Mm.
that's the thing that breaks my heart. Like I see when I was a kid so much value in that multi-sport. You're developing all your muscles, all your coordinations. You're not pigeonholing yourself into one set of skills. So all my coaches, whether it was basketball, soccer, I tried hip hop dance and all the different things that go with athletics. And that's one of the big key takeaways for me. Like my daughter just turned 3. If everyone could do gymnastics as a kid, like pre 5 years old, because it's not that, the socialization at that age, it's hit or miss with the research. So it's really, like something like gymnastics, building that body awareness, that confidence. Hey, like when my body does this, this happens, cause and effect with balance and coordination. And then like, let's get the ball, let's get the bat, let's get other things. But if your body doesn't know what to do, we joked around with kids in high school when they hit their growth spurt, and it's like they forgot how their body works.
Mhm. Yeah.
So I do feel there's like that progression of, certain athletics and certain sports are great at certain age groups. And then, when you're at a certain point and you're just like, hey, I really want to double down on this. This is what I really want to focus on a high school, collegiate, and professional level. Great. But to your point, if it's someone where it's like, I just like all my friends do this. I like being in a team aspect. These are my friends. Like I remember some of my soccer friends that I played with on my high school team, I still talk to. And I couldn't tell you a handful of my college friends. So like when I played in college, those teams were relationships that stayed with me into adulthood. And I mean, it's like I couldn't tell you some of the games we played. Hey,
Yeah.
it's funny when this happened on the bus or this happened at the hotel. Like, couldn't tell you half of the games that we played. It's those core memories of camaraderie and being with a team, and those fundamental being a good human, pass the ball, learn defeat. You're not going to be undefeated in everything you do. Like, you know, reevaluating, like, hey, I lost. Like, how, like, let's analyze that. Let's, all teams, let's look at the tape. Let's see what we did wrong, how we can improve on that. And I think some of those life lessons you really only get from athletics and being in that team environment.
Yeah, yeah, and, on that the U Sports Mastery Show, we have had some of the best coaches and many pro athletes that have, won championships, and we have not had one guest on the show that has said, "You really need to start focusing on baseball if that's what you want to do at sixth grade, and not let off it until you're winning a championship with the Mets or something."
Yeah.
They are all multidisciplinary.
Yeah.
And I spoke to a pitcher that won a championship with the Atlanta Braves, and he said, "I played every single sport I could get my hands on," and his favorite sport was basketball, and he was okay at it, but he ended up being a professional pitcher. And so from the athletes to the coaches, I don't know where this message is coming from that you need to pick one and hope
Yeah.
that that's the one and stick with it. If anything, they're saying you can get tons of injury when you don't give your
Yeah.
body and those motions that are in one one sport, you don't give it a time to rest. And then what they find is a lot of these kids just get burnt out and they don't ever want to see a baseball or basketball again because they're just done with it. They've been playing it for so many years.
Yep, it turns into a job. And the physical and mental burnout is definitely one of the main reasons kids quit early is they're just like, this isn't fun anymore. Like, I want to hang out with my friends. Like, I remember when I did travel basketball, and, it's unfortunate that I thought it would end with my generation, but there's still the Thanksgiving tournaments and the Christmas Eve tournaments. And, like, I'm sitting on the bench and I'm just like, I should probably be with my family or like at a
Right.
Christmas Eve church service or something like that, not in some gym an hour away from my house. So and I mean, we haven't even gotten into the financials of it. Like what some of these teams are charging is
Yeah.
ridiculous. And I think that's also as a rec, going back to that, one of the things we offer is, we do a rec league for soccer in the fall that's with other parks and rec agencies because we're a small town. We're less than 5,000 people. We can't field an in-house league ourselves, but we can field one or two teams in an age bracket. So then we play 8 other park districts and like municipalities in the area. And it's something where, hey, low stress. This is rec. Everyone plays. Like we're all going to learn the sport and focus on sportsmanship. And we're not going to break the bank because it's like, hey, you need those entry level, cost affordable opportunities to be like, is this even something we like? And there's times too where I'm like, when I was a kid, like lacrosse, rugby, like a lot of these sports weren't even offered because there wasn't the demand. And it was like very regional, like specialty things where it's like I
Mm.
would have had to drive an hour to go to a rugby thing. But then in college, it was like everyone did it intramurals, and now there's youth rugby down the street. So I think it's one of those two where access to the sport also changes the conversation. Where your volleyball, your basketball, your soccer, some of these are very mainstays in American culture. Every Parks and Rec agency has it. But again, it's that listening to the community. If there's an interest, or if you see a club coming up, it's like, maybe we could field like a lacrosse thing or like something something along those lines, which is very
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, and I've never met a Parks and Rec director or someone in athletic director for a municipal government or Parks and Rec that felt like it was their responsibility to prepare the next D1 athlete class. They always have a sense for, maybe you can speak about this. They all have a sense for, hey, I'm here to serve the community and to build community and to give every kid a chance to play baseball, even though they may have no hope of playing any kind of baseball after grade school. That your focus is more or less on building community, not necessarily on building the next group of athletes.
Yeah, 100%. I think it's a lot, going back to that, like the ad space and stuff of like we are public green space, and athletics is just one aspect of what we do. And I
Mhm.
think when, myself and so many other people in the Parks and Rec space, when we say we were Parks and Rec kids, it was beyond athletics. It was culinary, it was dance, it was, summer camp, it was even just like the local playground. I think it's, to your point, building that community, building safe space outside, and really just, learning your body. When I was with the forest preserves, a lot of nature play was getting really popular when I was getting into Cook County Forest Preserves, and this idea of you don't need the built environment. Like you could have the ravine in the back. Like
Right.
kids played before playground equipment. Like it happened.
Yeah.
So like logs and steps and how you grow and how you design like a nature play space. That kind of stuff too is, there's so much more than, hey, it is my job. The taxpayers are paying me to kind of groom these kids to be D1 athletes. That's not what the taxpayers' money is going
Right.
to.
Right.
Like maybe in high school, like I've done before, where it's like, hey, like we've done really popular, like we'll do a tryout prep clinic for our middle school volleyball kids, where before the volleyball season, before tryouts, like, hey, we'll host like a five little session or like a 1 2 hour clinic on, hey, let's just dust the cobwebs off. Let's get you serving. Let's get you playing. Let's get you ready for that tryout. Because I mean, too, gym space in some of these aspects. Like volleyball is very specific. Like, yeah, you could go to a sand pit or you could set up a net in your backyard, but some of that stuff is very facility dependent. So offering that to be like, hey, you're going to have this, you're going to be, we want to set you up for success in the real world. And athletics is one part of that. It's a great relationship builder, community builder, but we're more important with the person that comes away from that game or that match or that tournament and how they are as a person, as part of the world, like that's great that you're a D1 athlete, but if you're a jerk, we didn't do our job.
Right, right. And now I know sometimes it might be tempting for Parks and Rec department to cave into these travel teams or these elite teams that want to use their facilities, and maybe they offer them, a little, there might be some financial benefit for giving away those facilities. But is there anything y'all do to kind of protect that for the community, even though it might be more financially worth your while to, you know, give all these facilities away?
Yeah, so every winter we have this indoor space is coveted in Chicago. All of like the winter communities where you can't just play outside year round. It's going to be a balmy 70 degrees. So from November 1st to March 30th, we filled up our weekdays 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. in our rental space in our gym like before July 4th for like
Wow.
this 25-26 year.
Wow.
The amount of people that I've had club teams that are like, well, we want this Wednesday spot. Well, it's taken. Well, what are they paying? We'll pay double. And it's like, that doesn't how this is not how this works. And I think too that's a really big thing, like you mentioned, the finances. Unfortunately, as a leader in the department, I answer to the mayor, I answer to the village manager because we're a department of the village. We're not a separate taxable district.
Mhm.
So I have to answer financially, and I have to have a balanced budget. So there's times where we have to have a mix, and I think that's where you sit down with your leadership, whether it's the board, whether it's executive leadership, and say, what is the role that we want to play? Do we want to prioritize our residents and our programming, or do we want to prioritize this being a revenue generating facility? Because those are two different conversations. And that's when we find a balance of, we want to offer these programs, so we prioritize our programming. Like we have a theater troupe that has a stage on our gym. I kind of find that line of age where I joke around. We have an original hardwood gym floor, and I say it's where they filmed Hoosiers. And if the movie reference goes over people's heads, I know I'm dealing with someone younger. If people are like, "Oh, really?" I know it's someone older. But we have kind of like a grade school thing where it's a wood gym floor and then a big stage, and we have a local theater production, and we block out 6 weeks a year for their productions, and that's something that as a village we prioritize that cultural arts offering. We feel it's very unique to Palos Park. So we shut everything down, our programming, rentals, everything for those theater productions. So that's kind of like productions, programming, and then with the extra space, we'll fill in with rentals. But yeah, that's a conversation district to district is what's the priorities? Are you going to compete with them? Are you going to try and collaborate with them? Maybe it's like, hey, is there a way that we can work together where
Mm.
is there a way that we can find a league or a team space that allows everyone to play? Or is that a more affordable price point while you're using our field space and we can, have a MOU, memorandum of understanding. We do that a lot with like local schools if we need extra gym space. And I think, yeah, it's an interesting dance you got to play, but at the end of the day, the whole leadership team for that district or that village needs to be on the same page of what is the role of this facility in the community? Is it to bring in revenue to fund other projects like special events? You say like, hey, maybe we're renting this out so that we can have free special events for people and do a summer concert series. And we're going to wave the white flag on some of these athletic offerings. Let the club teams do that. We'll collect rental revenue, and with that rental revenue, we'll provide a service to the public in a different way. So
Mm.
there's a lot of different ways to go about it, but it's that leadership all being on the same page.
Yeah. I wanted you to mention more about the different services y'all offer. And we could even talk a little bit about the kids, that it's not just sports. There's so many other things, like you said, dance or art class or music classes. Maybe just give kind of a run through of all the things you've encountered that are offered aside from just sports in those facilities.
Yeah, so I think, it's a weird way of saying it, but we're really that like that cradle to grave offering of things for people to do. Starting at the older population, I think uh, everyone's structured a little differently, but we are heavily involved in senior programming.
Mm,
We do quarterly senior trips. A lot of these seniors can't drive more than a couple minutes outside to the maybe a doctor's appointment, maybe close family, but we offer an excursion. We do a monthly lunch and a show luncheon where people get a meal, they get some entertainment, whether it's a singer. We have like next Monday a violin player from the Chicago Symphony Orchestra is doing a performance. So again, that's something that's like, when you're, unfortunately, again, this is for leaders. The you get into this role to play outside all day, and the higher up you go, the less amount of time you're outside.
yeah.
So the voting population, if you're going out for referendum, if you're going out for something, though, you got to make those seniors happy. So us offering, we do senior wellness, we do a senior specific chair yoga, our senior programming and trips and ages 55 and better club, all of that is like a whole bucket of programming that is very specific. But we in Palos Park, we have an aging population, and that is a very big portion of our community that we want to serve in the right way. In terms of adults, we've seen a wide variety from pickleball is up and running. We do tournaments, leagues, clinics, all that good stuff, as well as strength training and yoga and a whole slew of other things. Again, seeing what other communities are offering and making sure, like, hey, how is our program different than this one? If there's 5 communities doing Zumba around us, like maybe we don't need to do a Zumba class. They're getting it elsewhere. Um, and then for youth, we split it up. Like we kind of do some theater stuff in collaboration with that theater troupe that I talked about earlier. So there's a whole kind of like cultural arts. So dance, culinary arts, theater, little improv, that kind of stuff. And then we get into athletics. And then with the cultural is also kind of like STEAM. We tried something very interesting this summer with one of our vendors where we did a soccer and STEAM camp where it was a full day camp. Half the day was athletics, specifically soccer. And then the other half was like STEM based activities.
Mm,
So a lot of parents liked that because, to your point earlier, some of these people are not looking to get into sports professionally. They just want the camaraderie. They want to build athletic aptitude. But maybe they like love Lego and they love other things. So kind of combining those, we kind of do that on a larger scale in summer camp as well. But yeah, so kind of the cultural arts and athletics in our youth are kind of like the two major buckets. And then of course special events, and then our rentals are big. We have a lot of multi-purpose rooms that we do birthday parties, quinceañeras, baptism, confirmation type after parties, wedding receptions. We've done it all.
yeah.
Rentals is a whole other thing. Capacity of the room, staff, all that is interesting. But yeah, those are a lot of the different buckets. So the programming is really encompassing. We do like with the little ones, like music, a music-based class where it's like a sing-songy with birth to 5-year-olds with their parent or guardian in the mornings, and we do all this other stuff. So it's really cool the mixture of all of that we do. We tried stuff and it hasn't stuck. Like we tried doing a piano class that didn't really work. But some other ones are really popular with that. Martial arts is another big one
Mm,
that can be a whole other thing now with like youth Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and kind of the MMA wing, or do you stay classic with like kickboxing, karate, taekwondo? Again, it's looking at the community need and throw things out there on the guide, see if it runs, give it a couple chances. Maybe it's the day that you're running it that's not working for parents. Maybe it's the time of day. try a couple different things, and then after like a year, if it's not running, then pivot and try something else.
Yeah. Have y'all dipped your toe into the esports world yet, or anybody around you?
Yeah, so we have a lot of like for-profit like gaming cafes where it's just like coffee shop with the esports attached to it, and those have
Mhm.
been pretty successful. I think for us, it's a big ticket item to try and sell the infrastructure to start an esports that
Oh
we
yeah.
haven't been able to make that sell. Um, when we're a village, we're in the same general fund as police and roads, and if you're like, hey, we got to drop a couple $100,000 on chairs and servers and all this stuff, sometimes that's a little bit too pie in the sky for some agencies, but there is some interest, not a ton to really sell it, but yeah, it's been 2 years ago I sat in on a esports presentation, and when they were throwing out the numbers, I just sank deeper and deeper into my
Yeah.
chair.
It's a lot.
But it seems exciting, and I know a lot of colleges are picking it up, so hopefully that kind of trickle down. I feel like that's how rugby and some of these the colleges started offering it more seriously, and that kind of trickled down to, all right, now we need youth to funnel into this program.
Yeah.
So that kind of worked out as well. So yeah, we'll see what the future holds, but for right now, we're kind of sitting on the sidelines watching.
Yeah, we did a show with the Rec Room. It's a podcast that we helped produce with Henry County, Georgia, and they have a esports facility that they built. And so as a result of that, we've started to reach out to a lot of the other esports communities, or they'll have their room already set up. We were thinking about creating a league where nationwide you could compete with other Parks and Rec department, but all through Parks and Rec. And so we maybe need another 30 to 60 days to officially launch that, but we're working behind the scenes to do like a Saturday league for
That's fun.
esports. So that's going to be cool.
That's awesome.
All right, so I have two things as
Yeah.
we get towards the end of the show. We have a question that we kind of have a tradition where our previous guest will leave you a question, and then you'll have to leave a question for the next guest.
Okay.
But the question that was left to you was by Jeff Edwards in River Parks Authority, Tulsa, Oklahoma. And he says, if you had to do it all over again, what profession would you have started in knowing what you know now?
Hmm. It's very interesting that I would actually not start in traditional Parks and Rec starting
Mm,
out. I think as a hiring manager now, I see so many Parks and Rec professionals getting siloed, and
mm,
it's sad to see. You see some people we were hiring. We're kind of a small jack of all trades type agency, so we'd have these people that, oh, I worked after school programming, and then when I got out of college, I would do the like after school programming during the school year, summer camp during the summer, and that's all I know. So I'd be like, hey, what's your marketing background? And they're like, well, we just go to the marketing department. And I'm like, oh man, like, some of these agencies are so big, they're siloing their staff to not give them the tools to really advance
mm,
properly. And so then they're stuck in that one department for advancement, and they don't really have the birth of skill sets to go elsewhere. So I actually would love to have stayed in. I loved the outdoor rec space. I have a feeling in the future I'll end up back there. But that was probably one of my favorite places. So probably with the DuPage County thing, starting with like a forest preserve district, or you know, current events aside, if this was a hypothetical, I would definitely be a park ranger. I would have loved to be part of the national park system and interpreting our national spaces and national heritage and history and culture, and that would have been a dream come true as a young kid, and what I thought was love, thinking, oh, going cross country and that I'm gonna stay put, but biting the bullet and that industry, a lot of my friends did National Park Service, and they had internships in Alabama and Wyoming and everywhere, and telling younger me, hey, it's okay, go do the internship, go cross country, go for a little bit. And if you need to come back home, come back home. But I think I would have probably ended up doing National Park Service.
Oh, yeah.
Done things differently.
Yeah, we've actually had several park rangers and national park rangers on the show, and man, they are having a blast.
Yeah.
It's like the dream job. And it's crazy the beauty that they're immersed in every single day as far as helping to manage these parks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so what question would you like to leave for my next guest?
Okay. So the next question would probably be more, are we thinking like big picture? Like,
well, we've had big picture. We've even had, if you were a piece of playground equipment, what would it be and why? I mean, we've had some great questions out here. It's open. It's a blank canvas for you.
Okay. I would say, if you could add another large amenity to your community and money wasn't an object or a point of concern, what would that amenity be?
What would be your answer to that one?
Well, I mean, if I didn't have to manage it every day, I think there's pluses and minuses, but I would say a splash pad. Our community would love a splash pad. The logistics of the location and the water and the price have kind of been points of contention. But I think something like that would be amazing. I know for us too, my office is the old Village Hall. It was called the Community House, built in 1938. Historical Southwest limestone quarried from the area. So in terms of, hey, I want to build a field house, like I can't move limestone walls that are 2 feet thick.
Right.
So I would say like a splash pad, or I would double down on the athletics demand that we have and build a proper field house. That'd be great. Huge for us.
Yeah, that would be, especially in your area where it's just like limited space everywhere.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, Stephen, thank you so much for coming on the show today. I'm keeping my fingers crossed that I can attend your state convention and host this show live, kind of like we did. I don't know if you saw what we did at NRPA, but we did like 35 shows live from the convention. I'd like to start doing that exact thing with the state conventions as well. We'll be living on the road mostly at that point.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, appreciate you coming on and sharing your story, and hopefully we can meet in person in January, I think. Or when is that? When is your convention?
Yeah, January. Yeah,
January. Yep. Hopefully we can meet there.
Awesome. Yeah, I hope so too. Thank you so much, Craig, for having me on. I really appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah. Have a great rest of your week. Good having you.
You as well.
Yeah. Take care. All right. So that was another great Park and Rec director from the state of Illinois. Man, they just have it. They do. It's almost like they're the pioneers or the experimentation part of Parks and Rec for the whole country. They really do a lot of good work over there. And we're going to do our best to try to attend their show and kind of highlight the work that they're doing over there, because I think some of our best Parks and Rec professionals come from Illinois. And they really take Parks and Rec to a whole nother level. Okay, so one thing I'd like to promote towards the end of the show, we have our Young Professionals Network. It's a Friday show that we're building, and we've got a new host coming on and a lot of new young professional networks popping up at the state level all over the country. So what we want to do is try to highlight a lot of the work that's being done with the Young Professionals Network, not just on the national level, but also at the state level. So if you are building a young professionals network for your state, or you're a young professional yourself, and especially if you're like a teacher or professor teaching young professionals, we'd love to have you on that Friday show. And Megan Cool will be helping us to host that on Fridays here shortly. So I'll play that promo, and then after that, we'll play something else promoting what we're doing here as far as strategic partners looking to co-host and co-create content with us. But off to a great start for this week. This is Craig LeBlanc signing off for our Monday edition of the Leadership Series with the Daily Parks and Rec Show. We'll see y'all here again tomorrow. Y'all take care, guys. Love you. Bye.
Are you ready to lead the next generation of Parks and Rec? Whether you're a student, intern, or rising leader, Welcome to the Young Professionals Network by DPRS Media Co. Our mission? To empower early career professionals in parks and recreation through mentorship, visibility, and real-world leadership development. Our vision? A national network of passionate, prepared, and purpose-driven leaders who shape the future of public service. Starting now. Powered by the Daily Parks and Rec Show, YPN gives you access to exclusive interviews, career-building resources, behind-the-scenes content, and live events, all created by and for the next wave of parks and rec professionals. Learn from seasoned directors, build your brand, get involved with national conversations that matter. Whether you're in youth sports, facilities, programming, or policy, YPN is your launchpad. Young Professionals Network, your career, your community, your story.
At DPRS Media Co., we believe Parks and Recreation isn't just a service, it's the heartbeat of our communities. We exist to honor the people, the vendors, and the leaders shaping the future of parks and rec. Our mission is simple: to tell their stories, highlight their careers, and celebrate their essential work. Our vision is bold: to be the trusted hub where leaders, vendors, and communities unite, inspiring innovation, sharing wisdom, and building a stronger, healthier nation. Through over 220 live shows and 6 weekly series, the Leadership Series, Facility Maintenance, Young Professionals Network, eSports Mastery, The Rec Room, and Growing Leaders, plus our industry-leading newsletter, the weekly Parks and Rec Post, we're building a media platform made for the Parks and Rec community. And now, we're inviting strategic partners to co-create this story with us. As a partner, you'll gain 12 hours of annual live exposure with custom shows highlighting your expertise, polished 60-second promos refined for maximum impact, year-round visibility with dozens of replays across our media network, premium features in our newsletter, and amplified social media reach across LinkedIn, X, and Facebook. This is your chance to educate, inspire, and lead while connecting directly with the professionals who build, budget, and buy for their communities. This is DPRS Media Co. Let's build the future of Parks and Rec together.